Lowy, members of the panel, and I will be brief. I'll only make 3 points because I appreciate we are pressed for time, and perhaps even counterintuitively, I'm going to start by paying my respects to the Halo Trust and Anastasia, rather than jumping directly into my own agenda. I think the work they do is critical. We support their request fully. I'm honored to be on the same panel. Last year, the Halo Trust lost 3 members doing demining activities near Armenia. 2 members were injured, and our hearts go out to all of them. We respect the work that they do. Our organization has raised funds privately to help in those efforts. And in that regard, I think this committee could do a world of good if it removed restrictions on U.S. aid to them, removing mines based on artificial Soviet borders. Our really deepest respect and sympathy. Second, I want to pick up on Congresswoman Frankel's excellent question to the 6th panel. Of course, the American Bar Association representative made a great point. IFAS made a great point about democracy backsliding, and what do we do about corruption? It's a question that those of us who work in this area struggle with. It's what the U.S. wants to see. The idea is that the more democracy there's, the better, but then between that general concept and what actually happens, there's usually a big gap. How can the U.S. specifically help? First of all, reward people who have made progress toward democracy. And second of all, when it comes to corruption, I think the United States has to look at whether examples are made of corrupt individuals. In the United States, how did to go back, Elliot Ness and them do it? They targeted high-profile people who were corrupt, and they went after them. The United States still uses that philosophy successfully. The fact that we fund statutes or writing statutes and laws and things when judges themselves can be corrupt is completely counterproductive. In our experience, going after people, even if it's years later, to say you cannot get away with this, there will be consequences, the rule of law will apply, is the best approach. And I would expect that if countries were analyzed based on that, which it doesn't always have to be punitive, it can also be forms of a reconciliation type of process where people acknowledge what they've taken and give it back, I think might be a good metric for this committee and the United States to start using. Apropos of that, I think the United States looking itself, and I was glad to see, and we were glad to see that the Department of Justice is going to start more actively enforcing the Foreign Agent Registration Act. I would be remiss if I did not note the last organization scheduled to testify today has been clearly identified as one that benefits from corrupt funds from a foreign government and has not reported under the Foreign Agent Registration Act, nor has it reported under Congress's lobbying laws. The United States needs to look at its own rules. Finally, with respect to our specific request, yes, I think Congresswoman Frank picked up. Armenia had a remarkable year. Economists objectively named it the country of the year because of the democratic changes, a peaceful change in government, extremely clean elections, rule of law, you name it, across the board. And Time magazine named the current leader of Armenia crusader for democracy. The kudos, even, if you look at the State Department from the U.S. Trade Representative and others, I'm going to make it under the time, don't worry. Were remarkable, and that's why we're asking for something substantially more. We're asking for $100 million in economic and democracy aid to Armenia. We're asking for $10 million in FMF and IMET. We're asking for another $20 million because Armenia has resettled refugees from Syria and the Middle East and given them safe haven, and we're expecting more, frankly. We don't know what's going to happen in the Middle East, frankly, and we're concerned about that. And finally, we're asking for $25 million to Nagorno-Karabakh for the benefit of Nagorno-Karabakh, which is one of the places where the Halo Trust works, but has also been a model of democracy in the region. How did I do?